I just went to a new Comic-Con. Did I find any of the books that I'm looking for my 2023 goals list? Stick around to find out. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and as you can see, I am off location today. I'm down to my West Virginia home, but that didn't stop me from doing some filming, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the last Comic-Con I just went to just a few days ago, last weekend in fact. It was Big Lick Comic-Con down in Chantilly, Virginia. It's actually Big Lick Comic-Con Nova, and this is the second year that they have been back in this location. And I'm very familiar with the Chantilly exhibit hall. I do go to a lot of card shows, sports card shows there. So went in there and I wasn't sure what to expect. And this is going to be a little bit of a review for today. What I was going to go in there and see, I knew that there were definitely some creators that I wanted possibly to see or not. There were definitely some celebrities on the pop culture side, TV, movie. I think there might have been a wrestler or two. I'm not even sure about that. I think they had some anime voice actors there. And what this show turned out to be was just a celebration of pop culture in general. You had comic books, anime, artists of non-comic book things that were there. It was an interesting show. It was a neat little selection of things. You could find a little bit for everybody, but not a lot of everything. And I thought that they actually brought in some pretty good comic book creators. I was impressed with some of the names. You had Jim Shooter was there, Mark Waid, Rick Leonardi, and Michael Golden. Those are all the four big names that I remember. I didn't go down the whole list at this time. And to be honest, I didn't end up going to any of them, although I probably should have. I think that I've seen every one of these guys at bigger shows like Heroes Con and Baltimore Comic Con, and those guys there's lines very deep, and I think the thing I missed on is I should have checked the prices at a show like this. Were they charging the same prices to get things autographed or to do remarks or to do full sketches? I don't know if the prices were going to be the same, because there's definitely not as many people there at this show than you would have at some of these bigger cons. And I was a little surprised too. It's a 2-day con. It was April 13th and 14th, and I could only go on Sunday, and I got there maybe an hour early, and I was about the third person in line. And I was expecting a few more people. There was probably about 100 people in line when I walked in, and I go in and ended up just going up and down the aisles. I wanted to see what comic dealers are there and what other things are there too. And what I noticed a lot of is that the amount of toys that they had at the show was phenomenal. And I'll cut away here in a second and I'll show you some footage from the show, and you'll just see I didn't even do it justice how many toys there were. And there were some of my comic book dealers that people I know and people I've shopped at before, and we'll get to them after we do the montage. But let's just do it now. Let's go through the montage and sit back, enjoy this little slideshow, and we'll get back and I'll follow up and I'll talk about the show and answer that question from the very beginning. Was I able to find books that are on my 2023 goals list? I'm being very good right now about sticking to what I need on that list rather than just continually buying. And stay tuned. We'll find out what I got. All right, so I hope you enjoyed all that footage. It didn't do it justice. The show was pretty big. It's not as big as I said Heroes Con or Baltimore Comic Con, but a lot of different things. And I tell you, they had a lot of toys, lots of toys. And I love toys, but I tend to devote getting comic books more than that. But I did definitely enjoy looking at a lot of those. They had so many Funkos, lots of Funkos, right? So ended up, let's talk about the comic book dealers that were there. There really wasn't a lot, but you had some of my favorite people there. You had my guys from Pop-Up Comics, and they had a big display. You would have seen it there towards the end of the montage, and they had all the guys from Pop-Up Comics were there with all their books, and I ended up having a nice conversation with Jason there because he's also focused on another initiative down there from his Facebook group. It's called DMV Comic Collectors. And this is a Facebook group that is focused around this community in this District of Columbia, Washington, Virginia, Maryland area. And we've been talking about how to grow this community and to get the collectors together and to become, as I said, become more of a community. And in my mind, I keep trying to say, maybe it'd be neat to be like the next Northeast Corridor. You see on YouTube, a lot of these YouTubers have come together, and I really consider that a pretty tight community up there. Down in our area, there's several YouTubers, including myself, but I don't know what Jason's been talking with the other guys, but I know that I've been trying to promote them a little bit on my channel, and I'd like to see this community come together more than just show up at a local show or something. Maybe get to know each other a little bit more. And this Facebook group ends up focusing on just talking about comics and maybe a platform to be able to sell comics, and it's really for the people in the local area, but anybody can join. And one of the things I want to give a shout out, you definitely saw the signage for the DMV collectors, comic collectors right as I was shooting the footage for Pop-Up Comics. It was right beside there. They're doing a great job trying to promote people joining. The graphics are really good. And one of their initiatives that I'm going to give a shout out to right now is they're doing a big comic book swap meet on May 21st down in Funland at Fairfax. Now, I've never been down there, and my plan is to be down there myself on May 21st. I've never participated in a swap meet, but I'm kind of interested, and I hope you guys, if you're watching the channel and you're in this area, this DMV area, come down. I'd love to meet you myself, and maybe we'll do some footage and we'll do a channel. Maybe I'll put something on the channel and while we're down there and do some filming. I don't know. It's all to be determined. I've got to look at my schedule, and hopefully I'll be there. And I'm going to try to bring some really good books, because the biggest piece of advice I've ever gotten on a swap meet is you get out of it what you put into it. So if you bring dollar books, you're going to end up getting dollar books. But if you put some pretty nice keys together that you're willing to trade, you can walk away with some other really big keys. So we're looking forward to that, and I'm glad I was able to give a shout out to those guys. The other big dealer for me that was there that I'm very familiar with was Cards, Comics, and Collectibles. And this is the store up in Reisterstown, Maryland. I talk about them often. If you go back a couple episodes ago, you know that I did a big Easter sale spotlight on them, and I showed you off the books that I picked up at that sale. But they are also the sponsors and owners and organizers of the Baltimore Comic Con. I don't think I've got Mark in the footage there, but Mark was there. He's the owner, and I didn't even know it was their books or his setup until I'm going through the boxes and just thumbing through, and I'm looking at the wall. It was a big wall section there, and I'm going, these books look familiar. There's something familiar about what I'm going through. And you see the dividers in the boxes, and I'm going, yeah, what is this? And I look up, I'm looking around, and then I see Mark Nathan over there, and I'm going, okay, this is Cards, Comics, and Collectibles. I literally, a few weeks ago on Easter weekend, went through these same boxes. So I was going through the same books I had bought or went through, and like, well, no wonder it looked familiar. So those guys were set up there, and there were several other dealers there, and yeah, it was fun. And I'm going to just cut the suspense right now. What did I pick up for the show? You guys are sitting there going, watching it. This is a comic book channel. Show off the books for us. Where are the books? Well, I'll be quite honest. I ended up walking out of there with 0 books. And it wasn't because there weren't good books to be had. Pop-Up and Cards, Comics, and Collectibles had a lot of great books. But what did I say at the beginning? I'm really focused on keeping to that goals list. And in the graphic at the very beginning, of course, you see a couple Spider-Man issues there. And that was, again, a little bit of tease because those books are both really high on that goals list. And I did look at some Spider-Man 294s. Thank you, Jason, again, for pointing it out. We were talking, and he said, hey, go to the dealer about 2 booths down, next dial, somewhere in that area. He said he's got 2 really nice copies to look at. And so thank you. I appreciate that help right there. So I go over there, and I found those books, and they know, guys at Pop-Up know how particular I am because I grade a lot of books. And 294 is part of that Craven's Last Hunt of Spider-Man, and I'm trying to get a complete run, all 6 issues, as 9.8. I've got 3 of the 6. I've got 9 6s or 9 4s, I think, on the other 3. 294, I definitely got a 9.6, but God, I'm really struggling to find a 9.8 candidate without just going out there and buying it. But anyway, I found the issues. They had just a micro tick, and I'm not going to spend the money if it's not the condition I want. So guys, take that away from this. Don't feel like you are obligated to always buy that. Maybe you want to buy the books for your PC and you want them raw. That's a little bit different. But I'm looking for those almost near perfect candidates or books that I can clean and press and get up. And so I walked away from that. I did manage to find, I never could find that Spider-Man 247. And I put that on the graphic because I love that cover, and because I had Craven on the other one, and it's 2 Craven issues, I'm spotlighting that. Never did see that one. I didn't see an X-Men 101. There weren't a lot of the keys that are on my list, and I was kind of disappointed. Again, this is not a knock on anybody that was there, any of the dealers. There were good books to be found. It's just they weren't the books I was looking for. So I kept the powder dry. I'm saving up. I'll be at the 4-State Con, I think that's the name of it, over in Hagerstown the last weekend in the month. I'll be there on that Sunday. So I'm looking forward to seeing some new dealers over there. Maybe we'll find some keys there. And of course, I think, we'll do a video on that as well. But before I go, there's 2 things I want to do. I want to give a shout out. Let me see. I wrote this down here. I ended up meeting a fellow. We were waiting in line together. His name was Gary. And we're just sitting there chit-chatting just about things in general. And then he says something about, yeah, he's got a film for his channel. And, those are music to my ears to find another YouTuber right there. So we started chatting. And he's a big comic fan. But he does a channel called Gary's Grails. And it's all, for as far as I can tell, it's about toys. And if it's not about toys, it's about toys. And then if it's not about those toys, it's about these other toys. I mean, lots of toys. So he was kind of excited to go into the show and see what he could find. So I'm giving him a shout out. I'll leave a link to his information as well as the guys from Pop-Up. I'm going to definitely shout out the DMV Comic Collectors Facebook group. I'll put that link in the description as well. I want you guys to check it out. But give Gary's channel a try. He ended up doing a video and putting it out before I was even a half hour out of that show. In fact, I was sitting there when I left. I stopped by Willard's Barbecue. I think it's Willard's Pit Beef. I'm not sure what the exact name, but it's Willard's. Guys are down there at the Chantilly Expo Center. Stop by Willard's. I love their pit beef, but their mashed potatoes and gravy are to die for. I love it. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, he already had a video out, and he said he literally edits on the fly at these shows. And so I got a chance to watch this video on that. So that was pretty cool. And I told him, I said, yeah, it'll be a week. It'll be a week before I get this video out. But as you can see, I was traveling this weekend right before this came out. So I'm on the road. So this video is looking very different from all the regular videos. But before we go, a couple things. Gotta plug everything here. If you guys haven't joined me on Facebook, Instagram, make sure you join me. I leave links and everything there. I definitely sell some stuff on Instagram. You can find some good deals there. I have an eBay page, eBay store really, where just about every slab and a whole bunch of raws are on there as well. Give it a shout out, give it a look. If you see anything over on my channels, you can guys reach out to me at any time. DM me on Instagram or at collectorsauctions@yahoo.com. Where is it? Up here? Right up here. I forget where I'm filming. I can't tell where anything is. Somewhere up here is the email address. You can reach me at any time. Let me know if you guys made it to this con. If you went there, let me know what your impressions are. You can leave me a comment in the comment section. But otherwise, the only thing I'm going to end up showing you today is the one book I ended up picking up this week. It just came in from Heritage Auctions. I cannot do a channel about comics if I don't have at least one comic book, right, guys? So yeah, I didn't pick anything up from the show, and I don't want that to be the takeaway that you couldn't go there and not find anything. It's just I couldn't find the books that I wanted in particular. Plenty of good books, plenty of good dealers. But the one book that I ended up picking up this week, it just got in from Heritage Auctions, and I picked up a raw copy of this. It's Marvel Feature #1, the first appearance of the Defenders. I never had this book. You've got a Neil Adams cover. It's pretty cool. In fact, I'm going to be real careful, but I'm going to actually sit down and read this book. I have never read this. This was a little bit before my comic book days. I mean, this was what, 1970 or 71? I'm not sure. I was 4 years old, 3 and 4 years old. And yeah, I'm reading Richie Riches and Archie's and, you know, a lot of Hot Stuff and Wendy, the Good Witch, and kids' books, Donald Ducks. And I was starting to get into some Marvels, and I don't think my first Defenders issue, I think, was issue #6. So I never had this issue, but this was a pretty good pickup. It's not, I think they've got this listed as Fine Plus or VF minus. It's going to need a little bit of a press. There is some wrinkling in here that will definitely benefit from that, but you got a square bound book. But this is my one big pickup. It's a nice little key. Glad to have this in the collection. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give me a thumbs up if you liked it. And what else do I always say? Definitely hit the subscribe button. You would think I have this memorized in that by now, right, guys? Hit the subscribe and hit that little notification bell too, because I try to put out episodes every Monday and Friday at 10 a.m. But if you hit that notification bell, it will let you know ahead of time when the episode is coming up, so you don't miss it. A lot of times I'll be live there watching the video too, so I can comment with you guys. I don't think today's video, I'm definitely not going to be there because I'm going to be active doing something, so I won't be live on that, but definitely on this episode, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of everything, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday. I don't know what that episode's going to be about. Probably will be about comic books. So, guys, take care, and remember, every comic has a story.